All right, let's go to Josh in Texas. Hey, Josh, how are you doing?
Hey, what's up?
Hey.
Doing good. How about y'all? Good to be back.
Awesome. Thanks for calling back. What can we help you with today?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, and forgive me if I sound like I'm out of breath. It's because I am. For some reason, I'm unreasonably nervous right now. So bear with me.
No worries.
Okay, so I had a question I wanted to ask you, but I wanted to give you a little bit of context and nuance to make sure you know exactly where I'm coming from.
All right, let's run through this.
The question I've got is, do you believe there is, or have you come to encounter a theist of any kind whose ideas you could come to respect? And where I'm coming from on that is this idea. So last time we talked, I kind of got Eric, and this is V I'm talking to right now. Is that right? And who's the other person here right now?
Thomas.
Make sure I know. Thomas, hey, nice to meet you. Okay. So last time I talked to Eric and V, they kind of gave me their perspectives on where they went into Christianity and where they came out of it. And it seemed like the common thread was a genuine search for honesty and truth. Mm-hmm. And it almost felt like an inescapable need to figure this out, to really figure out where you're coming from and what you believe. Mm-hmm. And you almost came to an inescapable conclusion at the end of it. And so the way I've been coming out with this in my mind is it's almost like I'm standing on an island, mm-hmm. and there's an ocean of questions around. And eventually you got to take the plunge. Eventually you got to dive in if you really want to know. And it seems like there's this collective of people that have done that. Mm-hmm. And no matter what side or what perspective they started out on, they've jumped into the ocean of questions and they've come out on the other side a different person, whether they reached the same conclusion they started out with or a different conclusion when they ended. They've come out a wiser person for it, you know? Mm-hmm. And I'm hypothesizing right now that no matter where you start and no matter where you finish, you can look at the other people who have done this same thing, gone on this journey, and have at least a little bit of respect for them, whether they come out on the other side as a Christian, a Buddhist, or this or that or the other, or an atheist. And so that's what the question boils down to, is would you share that ideology, or do you think that when you disagree or when you have a different view on theism or atheism, mm-hmm. regardless of the journey, if there's just nothing that can be gained from a theist, I suppose?
That's a good question. My initial thought there would be, okay, I have respect for anybody who jumps into that ocean. Right off the bat, it's a scary thing to do. Anybody who decides, I'm not just going to take what's being told to me and I'm going to go and find answers myself, that by itself is worthy of my respect, and I respect that fully. There are also many theists whose thought processes I do respect and admire, but whose conclusions I disagree with. And I can point to where I think that their thought process and their rationale break down and where I would go in a different direction. But that doesn't mean that I disrespect them as people. I think that a lot of them are extremely smart people who have a lot to contribute to the world in other areas. It's just that we disagree on the question of whether or not a God exists. And I can respect the fact that they've asked the question. I can respect the fact that they have gotten themselves up to a certain point using logic or using philosophy or whatever. My only quibble with them would be then whether or not that logic was sound, whether or not that philosophy was accurately done, and whether or not the conclusion is borne out by that. But again, that would be a philosophical and a rational debate and not necessarily hinged on respect.
Well, you also phrased it, Josh, as, do you think that there is anything that we can get out of that relationship? And if you're talking about getting something out of it, I think that there's, you can have a conversation with someone who is way down the, deep conspiracy rabbit hole, or who believes in all kinds of crazy woo and stuff, and you could still have a positive, net result through that interaction. Now, on the one hand, it's like if you wrestle with a pig, you're both going to get muddy, but the pig is going to enjoy it. At the same time, though, if you're strengthening your arguments, or you're learning more about their position and how to debunk it or why it's wrong, then you've gained something. you've come away with something that you didn't have before. Now, if in the notes here it says, that you were wondering if we believe that there's a theist whose ideas we could respect. Now, when it comes to respecting a person versus an idea, I think that there's a very strong distinction there to be made.
Right.
Because I can respect a person and I can respect their thinking processes, just like V was saying. A great example of this would be Martin Gardner. He was one of the fathers of the modern skeptic movement, and he would debunk, psychics and the paranormal and faith healing and all kinds of crazy claims. But at least until late in life, I believe his entire life, I could be mistaken on this, he was at the very least a deist, if not a theist for a good percentage of that. And he kind of had this conclusion that, maybe there's some higher power out there somewhere in the universe. Maybe it kickstarted it. I don't know. And I don't necessarily see that as harmful. I'll take 1,000 Martin Gardners. Now, I think that can be harmful if you're believing things without, that aren't justified based on evidence. But I don't see it harmful to the same extent as a faith healer who is claiming that they can cure your cancer and you don't need to take your meds. And so he may have come to a different conclusion than me, but I still respect him as a person. I respect the way that he applies skepticism to every area of his life. I just think that he's taken a step to believe something, and at that final belief, the theistic or deistic belief, I don't respect. I don't believe that ideas deserve respect. So I respect his thought process. I respect him as a person. I can't interact with him anymore because he passed away, but I respect everything that he contributed in his lifetime. But that final conclusion, I'm like, no, I don't think that it's warranted. I don't think that it's grounded in evidence.
Right. Another example would be the people who like Isaac Newton or the philosophers and scientists who had this concept that there was a God and so there must be order in the universe. So they went to go find that order in the universe, and they came up with some really awesome stuff because there are laws of physics, there are laws of, there are these things to find. The impetus for going to find those things is misguided and wrong, and I don't respect that. I do respect what came out of it, though, because it has informed scientific theory and allowed us to progress. So it's not a yes or no kind of situation here, I don't think. It's not you are a theist, therefore you have nothing to contribute, therefore I don't respect you, any of that at all. It's just on this one topic, no, I don't respect the conclusion. But then we get to argue about that, and that's fun. And as long as both of us are, willing to debate honestly and talk together as people who are honestly searching for answers, then I respect that.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's really what I'm looking for, just in people in general.
Yeah. Is
just an honest search for the truth, and there's an ability to respect anyone anywhere that's looking for that same honest, or that has that same honest search.
I agree.
Oh, yeah, that's very comforting to hear. Once again.
Good. I'm so glad you called that.
Dude, absolutely. It's great to have honest talk with y'all.
I agree. I love these calls. Thanks so much for calling in, Josh. Appreciate it.
Oh, actually, before I go, could I propose one more thing?
Sure, super quick.
So this isn't a like a philosophical question or anything like that. This is just an idea. So last time we talked, y'all talked about the idea of changing like the intro song or anything like that. Have y'all done that yet?
Oh yeah, we are in the works. Our producer just showed us some really cool footage and mock-ups before the show, so that's happening soon.
Hell yeah. Okay. Have you already picked a song or anything like that?
There are a couple in the works, but there is, I think, a thread on Reddit that is open to suggestions. So if you have any suggestions for songs or intro video or anything like that, definitely drop that into the Reddit and we'll look at it.
Cool. Okay, cool.
Awesome.
Appreciate that, yeah. All right. Thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate you taking my call.
Thank you so much, Josh.